Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget, you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode.
All right, welcome to Hump Day Hangout on the 5th of November 2025. This is episode 571, where Adam got lost somewhere in the woods. Maybe we'll be back again next week. Otherwise, I also got Bradley here, and I'm in Austria, where I had like a lovely sunny day. Was out enjoying probably one of the last really nice autumn days today, and then got back to work. And like now I'm back here and enjoying the Hump to hang out with you here.
Right on.
How are you today, Bradley?
I'm good, man. Happy to be here. Lots of stuff popping. Been crazy busy. Like I haven't been this excited in 15 years about my business. I'm not kidding. Like I'm so fucking hooked by being able to like vibe code shit now. It's fun. And I've been nonstop, man. I haven't even been able to sleep. I'm not kidding, man. Like 2 nights in this past, since Sunday night, I stayed up all fucking night and I worked until 7 a.m. in the morning. And then I slept for about an hour and a half. And then I worked the rest of the days. And then I did the same thing last night. Last night, I couldn't go to sleep. I was laying in bed and I kept tossing and turning. So I jumped up, said, I'm just going to go to work. And I worked until about 7:30 this morning. And I got 2 hours of sleep and then I've been up all day again. So it's really fucking exciting times because I feel like I did when I first got into SEO, and it was like, so fascinating to me. And it's just really cool. I've just been spending so much time developing stuff with, different AI models. And I found that Gemini is the easiest to work in because it just fully integrated with all of Google's cloud developer tools and everything. And so it's just so easy to deploy prototypes right within their ecosystem. And I've really actually fallen in love with Gemini over the past few days. No shit. So really cool stuff, man. I'm excited about what's to come. I think there's so much opportunity available to us right now.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, like I had a similar situation, but I know like when I gotta take off the gas, and so like that's why I basically spent the day in nature, if you want to call it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
I
once
need to
you
do
feel
that
the
because I spent the whole last weekend working in front of the computer. I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow in the mastermind webinar. I'm going to reveal a entire system that I've built over the last week. I'm trying to build an interface for it right now, using what's called app sheet and Google. It's a Google, and it basically you build websites and apps through a Google Sheet input. It's fucking nuts, man. It's so cool. And so like I said, it's in the Gemini ecosystem, automatically integrates with everything. It's so cool. And so anyway, I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow, but yesterday or over the weekend, I just worked the entire week. I was supposed to be outside working in the yard and taking care of stuff around my property, and I didn't. I spent the whole weekend in front of the fucking computer, but I can't help it, man. I'm trying to build. I've got several things that I want to develop that are going to make one of them's a whole entire new business, a service, a whole new done for you service. That's what I'm going to be sharing in the mastermind tomorrow. Is the whole new model, the business model, and the tools that I'm building to execute it, and it's quite powerful. So I can't talk anything else about that publicly because it's for mastermind only for now.
So if you're not a mastermind member, I guess it's a very good time to join right now.
Yeah, it's cool. But anyways, what other things we have to announce today? Anything else?
No, probably can mention the newsletter.
Okay. Yeah, the newsletter, guys, localmastery.semanticmastery.com. If you go to that, it's very inexpensive. It's I think $29 a month or $25 a month, I think. And it were $250 for a year. It's very inexpensive, but it's very well done. I review every one of those manually, like personally every week, and make slight edits and revisions to them. They are summaries or they're very thoroughly developed summaries of the webinar that I do every Thursday. And so it's current. It's always current. So every week you get a new update and I manually review them to make minor edits and things to it. So it is all real valid stuff, and I think it's great because it basically condenses down either an hour to an hour and a half of the Build with Bradley meeting, or the usually 2 hour, sometimes 2.5 hour mastermind webinar down into like really just the actionable items. So if you don't have the time or the desire to attend webinars and training, meetings and things like that, then the newsletter is a great way to still get the meat of it, right? Like the points and the actionable items from those webinars or meetings without having to consume all of that video content. So I think it's a really valuable resource, very inexpensive. I'd encourage you to just check it out because, again, it's a great way to stay current with what's going on in the digital marketing world and the agency side of things. That's what I talk about on the regular. So, all right. I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, that should pretty much be it. One more thing, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you stay up to date and get notified when we go live and when we get any other announcements. And one more thing, so we're actually getting an anniversary in about a week. We have 11 years anniversary of Hump Hangouts.
11 years, yes.
So yeah, there may be something special coming. We'll see.
Yeah, hard to believe. Our 11-year anniversary is next week, guys. That's 11 years of Hump Day Hangouts. No shit. Episode 572. I'm impressed with us. Just because we've been fucking consistent, man, like nonstop for 11 years. And I think that's I'm proud of it. So
Well,
anyway,
that's what
11
you
year
gotta
anniversary.
be doing to be actually in the ranking on the top spots. Consistency is everything there.
Yeah. Right on. All right, well, guys. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. We've only got two pre-posted questions. So anybody that's attending live, if you guys want to comment and chat, you got any questions or comments or anything that you want me to discuss, I'm happy to do so. We've got like I said, two pre-posted questions. A couple things I can talk about. Just briefly, some things that I've been experimenting with lately, and where I think there's a lot of opportunity right now. And but other than that, we can wrap up early because I got lots of shit to do anyway. So
Same.
right on. Let me grab the screen and let's get into it. Like I said, guys, if anybody's attending live, you want to post any questions or comments, feel free to do so. We'll answer the first two pre-posted questions, and I might chat for a few minutes, and then we'll wrap up if not a lot of attendance today. James says, I've been getting some cold emails from semantic links in my agency inbox. Curious to know how these email campaigns are doing compared to the DHA model. Do you find it easier to sell to other SEO agencies directly compared to using directory or other lead magnets? Yes, there's no question. Remember, we're selling when I'm selling to SEO professionals, when I'm selling links to SEO professionals, I'm selling something that they already know they need, right? The difference between working with pitching marketing services to a local business and pitching fulfillment services to an agency is that the agency already knows that they need those fulfillment services, and they just have to feel comfortable that they've selected the right partner or vendor or whatever you want to call it, right, as the engagement, because I call it white label partners, really. But they could consider it a vendor, whatever it is. The case is, the point is that it's a much easier sale because they know they need it. They just have to select who they feel most comfortable and confident in using. That's all. The difference, a lot of local businesses, though, a lot of the times you have two sales to make, which is why I recommend you try to avoid pitching anything that requires two sales in order to close it. And what do I mean by that? Well, first, a lot of the times, if you don't have the right offer, you've got to pitch and you got to sell them on the fact that they need the product or the solution, whatever it is. You have to first sell them on the fact that they need it. Then you have to sell them on the fact that you have the solution or the best solution, whatever. Does that make sense? So it's kind of I recommend you always try to identify things that are much more likely for them to know that they need. So even though like we as the marketing professionals oftentimes know what they need we know what's best for their business, even when they don't. Sometimes we need to sell them what they want so that we can then upsell them, cross-sell them, whatever, into what they actually need. But we have to get them to agree first to work with us, right? We got to get them to part with their money first. We got to sell them something first. And so a lot of the times we have to try, I found over the years, it's much easier if you can give them something that they already know that, or that they want, especially if something that they want, or something that is attractive, compelling to them, even if it's not the best thing for them, because at least you establish some sort of a relationship with them, like a professional relationship with them, where you can prove that you can deliver upon your promise, whatever the deliverable is, all of that kind of stuff. And then it makes it easier to then develop or ascend them, cross-sell them, whatever it is, to whatever they really need. So in other words, find something that it's easy for them to say yes to first. Use that as your way to start the business engagement, right? Where you get them some money from them, like whatever it is that you sell them. So let me give you some examples, okay? Some real world examples in the tree service industry. The two things that I found are the easiest typically to uptake for a tree contractor is either reputation, like building up reviews, so review solicitation campaign, which is part of also the way that I sell it. It's a list reactivation or database reactivation and review solicitation campaign. So it's one and the same. So I can kind of sweeten up a deal when I'm talking to a tree contractor about you. Again, even if when my assistant kind of goes through the process of optimizing the directory listing, and they identify what their main deficiencies are in their front end presence. And sometimes it's a company that's already well developed, is well established, they have a good presence, et cetera. And that doesn't mean that we still don't approach them and try to get on a call with them, because then I ask them about what they're doing, what's working, what isn't working, what would they change if they could. And then I usually lead in with the other offer, which is my AI answering service, which I'm about to relaunch that in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. We're doing a full-on launch for Tree Care HQ because we developed some new integrations into our AI answering service for tree guys that fully automates appointment booking and everything else. But my two front-end services that on the tree care side of things, and I'll get back to semantic links in a minute. The two services that I lead with are typically reactivation and reviews, or an answering service, but soon to be an appointment setting service, which automatically books the estimate quote request appointments and those types of things for the tree contractor, where they don't have to call the consumer back to then schedule the estimate. The AI will do it for the tree contractor, if that makes sense. So those are usually the two front end services that I run with tree guys, because it has a much greater uptake rate. Like, in other words, it converts a lot better. They typically understand the value of either of those two services. And so I can use one of those that are both low cost services, but gives them something tangible very quickly. In other words, with the reactivation and reviews campaign, I can very quickly generate new business for them if they go for the reactivation campaign in addition to the review solicitation. But a lot of the times the guys just, all they want initially is a review campaign. And so whether they have the list reactivation component or not, within the first 2 weeks, we get them a flood of new reviews, right? Which they see their reputation go up, and it generally shows a significant lift in their exposure in Google Maps search too, right? For their GBP, because that flood of reviews generally, almost always, generates a significant improvement in search performance in map search. Even if it's fleeting, unless you keep the velocity fairly high, it can start to wane after a bit, but it's still something that they are typically impressed with within the first couple of weeks. By the way, I don't tell them that we're probably going to get your Google business profile to, show up a lot bigger or better across a wider area. We don't tell them that when we sell them on the review generation campaign. But then we always point it out. We always highlight it whenever it happens. You understand? So we under promise and over deliver, because it almost always happens. If we get enough reviews in quickly enough, we'll see a significant lift in their GBP performance. And so then we will highlight that to them. And that's a perfect opportunity to try to upsell them into additional services. Like, hey, do you understand? Look what we did. We saw, we take an initial local search grid report before I get on the sales call with them. And then when they actually check out for the campaign, we refresh the report so we have a benchmark to show where they were when they signed up with us, like as far as their exposure, their review counts, everything else. And then within about 2 weeks, when we get the first initial blast out and that flood of new reviews in, we see usually almost always a significant improvement in maps ranking performance, at which point we regenerate the report so that we can show that, and we contact them and then highlight it. Say, hey, listen, have you noticed your review counts climbing very, very quickly? Well, let's show you. This is also kind of a result of that increased review velocity, right? And then we show them the local search grid reports, and it can also show a performance gain in organic search, but we're not really after that. It's more the maps ranking performance things that we're trying to highlight. And so then I use that as an example. I'll tell them like, hey, do you realize like part of the reason that we were able to do this is because of the velocity of getting a flood of reviews, but we're not going to be able to keep that level of collecting new reviews up because we're doing an outbound campaign now to your existing list, and by the way, we batch that out. We don't blow through the whole list all at once, right? If they give us 200 names, we're going to split that up to at least 4 batches of 50 names each, right? And spread that out over one per month. We'll do a big blast like that. That way we got them hooked for longer, but also we always set up a landing page. It's just part of the snapshot deployment when I create the new sub account for them in high level, and it's got a landing page that the contractor just goes to at the end of every day or once a week to then go submit each of the closed job, the name in either phone or email or both of the contacts of any jobs that they closed, which automatically adds that contact into the review solicitation campaign. But in any case, I tell the contractor once we show them that we got them a lift from just the review campaign, like, hey, do you realize part of the reason we saw this increase in exposure in map search and across a wider area, et cetera, is because of the velocity that you're not going to be able to keep that velocity up, not to that level anyway. So in order to kind of maintain that performance increase that you've experienced, it's best to have your foundation set properly. And that properly optimized website, properly optimized Google business profile, ongoing marketing services, content, links, citation building, et cetera. So I always use the review services, the result of the review service as a way to try to upsell them onto additional services. With the answering service, it's kind of the other way around in that once we get an answering service for a tree guy, which is attractive to them too, because I tell them on the call, like you won't miss any more calls. You will instantly see an increase in booked appointments, like booked actual lead to close or lead to booked estimate or quote request appointment. If that makes sense, you'll see a significant increase in conversion rates because the speed to lead, the time with which there is no, well, the way that my answering services have worked was when a consumer called in, the answering service would answer the call, take the consumer's information, the job description, the service address, and call back or return contact information, and then that would be forwarded to the contractor. The new service, which again in 2 to 3 weeks I'll have it, we're launching that for Tree Care HQ, actually includes the appointment booking right on the spot. So when the consumer calls in, the AI will actually book the appointment, and so that's going to significantly increase just by having an answering service alone. Tree guys, and I've been doing this for 11 years for tree guys, not with AI, but with actual answering services with real humans. And they see a 30% increase in booked appointments, actual, like from lead, a 30% increase from lead to actual booked appointments, if that makes sense, because of just an answering service. Because a lot of before if a consumer called and they didn't answer the phone because they were up a tree or they were running a stump grinder or whatever it was, then a lot of the times consumers don't leave voicemail messages, or even if they do, by the time the contractor calls them back, the consumer had already found another and scheduled estimates with other contractors. So even if they end up scheduling the estimate with the contractor, they've now competing with other bids, right? And so the sooner, if a consumer calls and gets their appointment booked right there when they call, they're less likely to call to book other appointments. You understand? And so by having the AI answering an appointment setting service now, that takes that time lag between when the consumer ends the call after calling to submit And now they're playing the waiting game for the contractor to find time to call them back. And that as soon as that call ends where they've left their information, until they get that call back and the appointment booked, that's an open loop in their head, the consumer's head, which oftentimes people will go just keep calling until they get the booked appointment, right? And then they're satisfied. And so if we can close that or get that appointment booked on the first call, the first point of contact, they're much more likely to increase that well beyond a 30% conversion increase, if that makes sense. And so why I bring all of that up is because with the tree guys, I'm going to either lead with the review and reactivation and review service, which then allows me to upsell them to other things because I don't have to sell them first that they need it. They already know that they need a better reputation, more exposure, et cetera. Right. Or if I'm selling them on the answering service, it's because they already know and have experienced the pain of losing jobs because they didn't follow up quick enough. And also they get hammered with solicitation and spam calls all day long. And when you have an answering service or an appointment setting service, it completely eliminates that because all phone calls are screened. The only time a call even gets transferred through is if it's a valid call that has, a reason to be live transferred. In other words, the tree contractor only gets notifications when they have a real valid booked appointment or a real valid lead, right? And so that's attractive to them. And so if they purchase that, then I say to them, well, now that you have your calls and your lead management automated, now let's generate more leads, right? Because a lot of the times I'll talk to tree contractors and they'll say like, well, I need more leads. And then I'll ask them, what happens when a lead comes in? How does it come in usually? Is it phone? And I already know the answer. It's almost like 80% of leads that come through are through phone calls, but I want to hear them tell me that. Because then that's when I ask them, well, who's answering your phone? Do you always answer the phone? What happens when you don't answer the phone? How long is it on average before you get back to them? Like blah, blah, blah. And I ask them these questions and they tell me about how inefficient their process is. And so once they're, when I tell them about the answering service, but now appointment setting service, then they're super excited. And once they get on it within a couple of weeks, within the first 2 weeks, I follow up with them because their call volume has dropped to almost nothing as far as what gets through to them. And so it's a perfect opportunity to say, hey, listen, now we can scale your leads too, right? Because you've got it automated and you're going to convert more of them into actual booked appointments. So I bring all of that up because to get back to the original question, we had plenty of time for me to cover it today, was it's much easier to sell to SEOs when I'm selling links to SEOs because they know that they need it. It's not a two-sale approach. So when I've learned with selling the tree guys, try to give them something that they want, even if it's not what really is best for them, doesn't matter. Establish that business relationship by selling them something that they can are much more likely to say yes to. And then it makes it much easier to then sell them what they actually need later, if that's clear. And that's how I've done it now for the last few years, and it's worked really, really well. So I know that was a long-winded, but it's great. A very good question because I found selling white label services is a hell of a lot easier. But anyway, and by the way, I use a company for that because I do the cold email for my own local marketing agency. So I have another company that does the cold email and appointment setting for me. And I got a salesperson in place now too for Semantic Links. So there's kind of it's kind of just more hands off so I don't have to spend my own attention and time on that, if that's clear. But I'm actually working on developing some additional prospecting automations that are using LinkedIn also, even for tree guys. But it uses LinkedIn Sales Navigator. In a combination with Instantly, which I use Instantly for cold email anyway. And there's a Zapier connection between them. So it's LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Zapier, and Instantly for doing some email marketing and stuff and it's LinkedIn marketing, excuse me, because I'm getting ready for this, what's called Canopy Call Lead Rescue. That's the new AI appointment setting service for tree guys. And so I'm ramping up my sales channels so that I can start selling that. And so LinkedIn's something that I'm going to be testing on. And so I've started to build the automation for that with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Zapier, and Instantly. So anyways, in a few weeks when I deploy that LinkedIn automated automation, and it's semi-automated. It's not fully automated. If I have good results from that, I'll be teaching about that too. Okay. That'll augment the directory stuff. I got one other thing I'm going to do too, which is also web form submission service. I talked about this before, but there's a company that reached out to me that for $430, I got 10,000 contact form submissions to tree service contractor sites. Now, I did it as a test just to see what type of response I would get, and I didn't set up any automations or nothing. So I just literally did a $430 test, and I did land one review client out of it. So $99 a month review client, and they're still a paying subscriber client now for they're just on the Go High Level review data reactivation reviews plan. So I did get one client out of it, and they're still a subscriber today. But I had no automation up set in place or nothing to manage the replies from that campaign. And it was fucking painful for about 5 or 6 weeks. I'm not lying, because for about 5 or 6 weeks, my email account, which was my primary workspace email account that I used in the reply email field for the contact form submission service. And I should have set up automations to where I had a separate sub account in High Level with the email account as the assigned SMTP or workspace account for that sub account, with automations and workflows High Level that whenever it would receive an inbound reply on that email, it would send out an automated reply or SMS or whatever, because it could have automated the whole thing. But I didn't, because I just wanted to test it. And so anyway, I got what I needed from it, which was that it works. Because over 5 or 6 weeks, I had over 1,200 tree contractors out of, I think ultimately they did like 11,200 contact form submissions or somewhere around there, the company for me that I hired to do it. And I had like 1,200. So it was like a 10% response rate. It was crazy. But a lot of the tree guys, they would just either call the phone number that was put in the contact form or just reply back via email, thinking it was somebody looking for a quote request, for tree services. And so I need to have a kind of whole automated workflow and listeners and automated replies and everything else that can process any of those inbound leads. An AI answering service can do that, because a lot of those tree contractors were actually from the web form submission service. They would call the phone number, and it was just going to my voicemail from my High Level phone number, because I didn't want to be answering the phone. The tree guys were calling thinking that they were calling a consumer that was looking for an estimate, when it wasn't that at all. It was me pitching review services. And I got one review client out of it because I didn't have any automation whatsoever set up for managing that type of a inbound lead flow. Now that I know how it works and that it does work, when I go to launch this Canopy Call lead rescue service, that is going to be one of my tests initially, is doing one of those web form submission services, contact form submission services, but everything automated to where the phone, which when the call comes in from a tree contractor, the AI will be trained to steer the conversation away from the contractor is going to be calling you. It's just put in the prompt, and an AI employee and Go High Level, you just say like for this particular campaign, there's going to be calls coming in, and it's likely a tree contractor thinking that it's a consumer requesting an estimate. You need to transition them into, oh no, I was calling out because you're speaking to an AI and we can answer your phone and take appointments and all that for you. So in other words, the AI will actually answer the phone and pre-sell or try to sell the contractor. So I've got a whole test I'm going to be doing on that too. I'll share results on that too, guys, because I think with the AI voice capabilities that we have now, there's no reason that we shouldn't be doing those kind of contact form submission services. If the calls that are going to come in are going to be answered by the AI and not you, who gives a shit, right? Like, I don't care if I piss the people off or not. Some are going to convert, right? Some won't. Some will be mad. Who cares? Right? They're contact form submissions. How many times have you, on any of your websites, have you been spammed? We all get spammed on our contact forms. Some are going to convert. Some are going to be pissed. Who cares? So I plan on doing that as well. All right. Jay says, this is more of a personal question. I'm starting my agency. I live 30 minutes from downtown of a populated city, and I can set up the agency for Google business purposes, either as though it's located in my area or in downtown via a virtual rented office setup, since I work from home often I usually go downtown, but I also plan to serve some of the smaller, medium businesses around me. How would you approach this decision if you were starting out? Well, Jay, number one, I would pick a particular industry and I would focus on the industry, and then you don't have to worry about, you know, any of this because you'll be targeting by industry, not by your local area. And it will allow you to, you don't have to worry about ranking your GBP for that, for number one. Number two, it will allow you to scale so much faster. If you try to, every time you take on a new client in a new industry that you're unfamiliar with, you're reinventing the wheel. You have to research everything in order to be even a tiny, even to start becoming effective. Like you're ineffective in any industry until you know that industry. Full stop. I don't care if you know how to rank shit or not, unless you know how to get results for that particular industry. And that's not just about ranking things, right? It's about ranking things that'll convert, that'll cause the visitor, reader, whatever, to take whatever conversion goal it is that you want them to. Fill out a contact form, make a phone call, opt in, whatever it is, right? But anyway, it takes trial and error to figure out what is compelling, which converts, which types of creatives work, which type of copy to write, how to get results in search, like how to rank stuff in a particular industry. It takes trial and error. So pick one industry and start to learn about that industry, and then you can scale through duplication in the same industry. When you start figuring out what works, you just duplicate that for other businesses in the same industry, just in different areas. And then you don't even have to worry about ranking a GBP on your own. If you rank a GBP in your own local area, and if that's what you want to do, hey, God bless you. More power to you, man. But you're going to get random ass SEO leads from all different types of companies, all different types of businesses, service area business, storefront businesses, all kinds of strange stuff will come through. It's no, ask me how I know. I ranked number one for SEO Virginia, SEO agency Virginia, Virginia SEO. Like for years, I ranked number one in Virginia for SEO agency, and so I got all kinds of crazy, random ass type of client requests, requests to do SEO. And I spent so much time creating proposals for various industries that I knew nothing about, and I'd have to research them and try to determine what the appropriate, to spend hours and hours just to develop a proposal to pitch to them with a low closing rate because I didn't know shit about those industries to begin with. And it was just an enormous amount and waste of time. So don't do that. In my opinion, I mean, if you want to do that, again, God bless you, more power to you. But I think you're going to find you're going to work yourself to death. Pick one industry, validate that it's an industry that needs marketing services and spends money on it. All industries need them, but not all industries spend money on marketing. Find those that do. Validate an industry that you like, that you have some sort of a genuine interest in, and then you scale your entire business around that industry, not a particular geography, if that makes sense. You're going to find it much, much easier to scale, man, I promise you. But if you do want to try to do it on your own, then I would recommend that you focus in on the area where you live, or where it's going to be a lot less competitive, especially if you're just starting out, because you can still, like, don't make it hard on yourself to try to compete in the major metro area or the city, the more populated, more competition area. Don't do that, especially if you're starting out. Right? You find local business. If you're going to target any local business, again, I don't recommend it, but if you're going to, pick local businesses nearby you in the suburb area, which are less competitive, which means it's going to be easier for you to get them results. Makes your job less stressful and easier for you to manage, right? Don't compete in the major areas yet until you have confidence in your abilities, duplicatable processes, etc. Okay. All right, guys, a couple follow-up questions or comments, and we'll wrap it up early today. Someone says, so does the review generation campaign sometimes lead to several negative reviews too? No, not usually. I'm not saying it can't. It certainly can. But usually if you'll know that before doing a review solicitation campaign, because if it's a company that has problems with their products or services, their deliverables, right? In my case, it's tree contractors, and maybe the tree guys are crude or rude or missing teeth. Well, that's kind of common in that industry. But whatever, like, let's just say that, you're usually going to see that because their GBP will already have negative reviews if it's that type of a company. And I don't work with those types of companies. I don't. Like, I just don't want to, because if they've got a problem internally that they're not willing to fix, and that's why they are getting negative reviews, then I'm not going to spend my time and effort promoting a business that doesn't, properly treat their customers or whatever. Does that make sense? So you usually know that up front, but you can always ask, and I would recommend that you do. Like, how clean is your list? How current is your list? Is there anything in recent history that could, any problems that you've had, so that, we need to be aware of, because, and just ask those types of questions up front. You're usually never going to have that problem. And because you can usually determine that before you ever, again, if I'm going to have a conversation with a tree care contractor, we're going to look at their presence long before I get on a call with them. We have already done the research on their brand and their brand's presence. And we should already know if they have a negative reputation online. And it's something that I don't work with those types of companies. You know what I mean? I just don't, because there's too many companies out there that do good work that just don't have the exposure. So I'm not going to try to promote a company that has a shitty reputation. That's clear. Costco says, will you be offering this AI answering service as a white label service for resellers? Yes. Again, let's teach fully transparent about all that in the mastermind. Yeah. My, I partnered with the AI dev team that I've talked a lot about that. Hazel, my executive assistant. And anyways, we agreed to a revenue share model, and we signed it up, got literally signed an agreement, got everything signed up and everything a couple of weeks ago. And we got the first prototype was ready on Monday. It's going to be developed in stages. The first stage was to bring the AI answering service into high level, because I had contracted another AI development company a couple of years ago that I've been paying $1,000 a month retainer for over 2 years. And they're the one that had developed the AI answering service that wasn't built in high level. It integrated through API connections with high level, but it wasn't built in high level. So I had to get, the first stage was just to get the AI inbound voice answering service developed into high level. And that's done. That was done on Monday this week. And so the next phase is to develop the appointment setting side of it, which uses the AI to also determine logistics. It has a route planning function to it for tree contractors, so that when the consumer calls in and requests a quote or an estimate, that's usually the first step. They get an in-home quote or estimate from somebody on the, usually the owner of the tree service company, or if he has an estimator will do it. And so usually the contractor has to call the consumer back, because they got to schedule it when it makes sense for them, right? But now, as long as, what I'm doing with the tree guys is, depending on the company and how busy they are, what size of the company is. Most of these are small companies. So usually it's one crew. Sometimes it's two, but a lot of times it's one crew operations. And so what we're doing is we're assigning 1 or 2 days per week that are assigned for estimates only. And they have, depending on the contractor and their service area, how much driving they typically have to do and all that kind of stuff. It's either usually a 1 hour or a 2 hour time slot there's 2 different calendars in each high level sub account. There's a quotes calendar and a jobs calendar. A quotes calendar has a 60 minute, 90 minute, or 120 minute time slot for estimates, for processing quotes or estimates, right? And that's where the contractor will go out to the customer's location, survey the job, take photos, write up the notes so that they can prepare a proposal later. Okay. And so now the AI answering service will take the consumer's call and then propose some dates once they get the consumer's logistics information, location information, the service address. Then the AI will cross-reference the available time slots, appointment slots on the estimate days, the quote days, and compare existing appointment slots and the address or service locations of those existing appointment slots, so that when the AI proposes days and times available for the estimate, it's only when that contact's location is nearby other estimates that are already scheduled. Does that make sense? So that's the second component that they're starting to develop next week. We're working out the final bugs of the first, just the AI answering service this week. So Probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's when I said I plan on launching this. Even if we launch it initially without the route planning option completely done, it'll be on a beta. We'll just lower the front end price just to get it, get the exposure. But I'll be sharing all about that in the mastermind, guys, because I'm doing a full on launch for that for Tree Care HQ. So, and we'll be talking a little bit about that tomorrow in the mastermind when I share the app that I've developed. Can't wait to share that with you guys tomorrow. So anyway, yeah, you'll have access to it. It's just a snapshot in the mastermind, etc. As far as like, I've got an AI company that develops. If it's likely that we'll just offer some sort of a reseller agreement, to where my team will manage and maintain the automations and the AI, etc. That because I found it. I don't want to fuck with it. Like seriously, I don't want to get in there and mess with all that stuff. So that's why I brought this AI dev team on, and it's a revenue share model. So they have basically they're not an equity, they're not partners, so they don't own part of the company, but they have revenue share on gross margin. Gross revenues. They have a percentage in that. So anyway, I think we'll probably do it on a reseller agreement. That way we can manage it for people. Hopefully that's clear. Solon says, if you were a new agency, what's your advice on pricing the reactivation and review in the voice AI answering service? Set up a monthly. Well, reactivation and reviews, we just charge $99 a month for that. I charge a $299 setup fee for the reactivation and review campaign if I have to, like, if the contractors or company's data, like for their customer set list, is ill formatted or it's in some crude format where it's going to require us to really kind of process the entire contact list and clean it up and put it and format it properly. A lot of tree guys in my industry, a lot of tree guys are guys that have like zero technology skills. Some of the younger guys are much better, but a lot of them are older guys that just literally they're terrible. That's what I've reworked my whole business model for tree guys. I'm not even offering them access to high level unless they request it. The CRM, they don't want it, guys. They don't. I'm going to be talking about this on the mastermind too, but I mean, like, there's some AI data packs that I've developed myself, and some that I've found in finding data packs that can help you identify these things. And I did full market research about this, and tree guys, they just don't want, they complain about it on forums and everywhere else that they just don't want to use CRMs and things like that. All these complicated softwares and apps, they don't want to do it. And I know it from trying to sell on high level services for years, and they never want it. And anybody that I did actually sell on high level services where I tried to teach them how to use high level and manage their own business in high level, they never stuck. Within 2 or 3 months or 6, 5 months, whatever it was, they'd quit. They'd cancel because they just never used it. And so the stickiest kind of contacts that I've had with any high level services are when we manage the pipeline for them, right? I've got tree guys that they communicate the directives, like the instructions about what, like the status of a lead via SMS text message. And the automations are set up in high level to where they just text in and say, name, contact name, and they'll add the phone number in the text, and the text listener is listening for it, and it will say like booked for, and it'll say date and time, and it'll automatically book and mark that lead as booked and all that. And it's because they don't want to even touch the CRM, So anyway, I found that the reactivation and reviews campaign is $99 a month. I charge $299 setup, but if they have a clean list or a list that is an easy exportable format and importable format for us, like a CSV or Excel file, and it's a decent list, it's not going to take a lot of processing to clean up, then I will waive that $299 fee. Then I'll just do $99 a month straight up. And that's kind of an incentive that I use on the call. For the AI answering service, my pricing is very transparent. It's $197 a month plus 15 cents per minute of usage. That's it. 190, but this isn't an AI answer. Well, it is right now, just an answering service. But like I said, it's a full-on appointment booking service for tree contractors. So they don't have to have a CRM, none of that. They just get booked appointments. Boom, that's it. Okay. Do you think it's worth to rank for industry marketing or industry SEO agency? Yeah, I do. I got a lot of leads from my tree service directory when I ranked #1, and then I fucked up my brand by trying to co-mingle the directory side of things with lead gen assets that I called Tree Carriage Local. And I shouldn't have done that. I ambiguated what Google understood about my brand, and it's never performed as well ever since Tree Care HQ. But for about 2 years, I ranked #1 or in the top 3 always for tree service directory, and I got a shit ton of tree care contractor clients and just members into the directory just from rankings. So yeah, absolutely. I do think it's worth doing that because you're still going to get clients in the correct industry, the one that you should be familiar with and know how to get results for. Already have all your marketing campaigns and developed, excuse me. So you just duplicate what's already working for yet another contractor or company owner in that particular industry, right? It's by far the best way to do business, in my opinion, guys, as an agency owner. Do you cover all the reactivation reputation processes in the local ops SEO blueprint course? No, local ops is about ranking GBPs, basically. Well, local marketing, local ranking, period, excuse me. But it's really focused on GBPs because that's where the leads come from, not organic, if that's clear. So no, in the mastermind though, we have all the other training. But yeah, no, local ops is more about ranking. It's not that specifically reactivation and reputations. Two more comments. Trent says, Solon would be interested in sharing. Would you be interested in sharing your niche or keywords, etc.? Don't be scared. I don't know what that is for. API says, how many years do you think local SEO will be replaced by AI completely? I don't know. It's a good question. And here's why I'm not sure about that, because I've done a lot of research on this lately, guys. And what I've seen is that, Google local search is still, it's not really lost much market share, but the search behaviors have changed a bit in that a lot of consumers are doing a two-step approach now, as opposed to just going to Google and searching, tree service near me or whatever. They go to AI, whatever their favorite AI chat is, and ask for, the best tree service company in my area. And they might say whatever, it's more of a conversational search, as I'm sure you know, instead of a keyword type search, like people still do in Google. You know what I mean? So, and then once they get recommendations from whatever AI search engine it is or search AI chat that they use, then they'll go to Google and go do a brand search for each of the brands that was referenced in the AI response. You see what I'm saying? Like that, we see a lot more of that. And so that's why branding is incredibly important, which I've been talking about that for years anyway, but I think it's more important now. Focusing on branded search results and making sure that the company is well established as a brand. Because the two-step approach that consumers are kind of adopting or evolving in, kind of like moving into doing that kind of a two-step approach, which first go to their favorite AI chat, ask for recommendations. Whatever recommendations are then returned by their AI chat, they go do a single brand search for each one of them. And so that's why I think it's critically important to be optimizing for brand search. And, I've got a local ops SEO blueprint. The first items is either a full SEO audit or a competitive link analysis. Step number 2 is either branded assets or brand builder, so that we can establish that brand authority very, very quickly. That's the very first optimization thing that I do for all of my clients. After the analysis, the first thing that we do is start to build more branded location authority. Full stop. And it just depends on how aggressive we have to be for that to build that branded location authority, determines whether it's branded assets or a brand builder, which is a kind of more comprehensive version of branded assets that includes a premium press release and all these other things. That is specifically so that a brand search will return nothing but assets, page URLs, etc., that are specifically referencing and associated with that particular brand. Does that make sense? We do that intentionally because it helps with proper branded location authority, you can perform much better in local search, even with deficiencies in some of the other areas, on-page, backlinks, etc., as long as you have enough branded location authority. That's why we always start with building branded location authority. So that 100% translates into the kind of way that search behavior has shifted a bit since the onset of AI chats. Now it's kind of a two-step approach. So you're best to make sure that the branded presence of your clients are very fully theirs. Like, in other words, a lot of local businesses, especially contract, because their SEOs told them to, right, have very generic names for their business names. Like, city tree service, like the name of the city tree service. Well, that's like also a generic search query. So it's very hard to establish that as a brand, because Google is always unsure of when somebody in that local area is searching for that city name tree service. Are they looking for that brand, or are they looking for just some general tree service in that city? You see what I'm saying? That's why I've been teaching for years that you should always focus in on a brandable, some sort of element to the brand name that makes it unique, so that it is distinguishable from a generic search query, right? So that it becomes much easier to establish as an entity. And now, because of the way that search behavior has shifted, we want to make sure that that brand search is fully populated, multiple pages deep in Google search results, with page URLs specifically referencing that particular brand, preferably in a favorable light, right? So that's why we can influence what the branded search looks like. And that's not hard to do. Typically, that's a lot less harder to do than to influence generic search query search, right? So brand builder is, again, a way that we do that very, very quickly. It's very inexpensive. I think our white label price is like $550. Sell it for $1,000. You can sell those all day long for $1,000, guys. And we will do it for you. And you pocket $450 in profit, right? And it used to be 30 days, but Google's a lot slower to crawl and index everything now. So within 6 weeks, it's pretty much guaranteed that your client will fully own the top 2 or 3 pages of Google search results with a brand builder. And by the way, in the mastermind, we have the SOP that teaches you how to do it on your own. You can have a VA do it, right? So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is, when do I think it's going to shift? For local SEO, I don't know. I don't know if it, I think when Google goes fully to AI mode, things are going to change. I don't know that traditional SEO, as traditional local SEO, is going to completely disappear. I think it's just going to shift. I think there's still a place for a lot of what we do, as far as boosting Google business profiles, creating geographic relevance, location relevance, right? Organic search, I'm not so sure about, but links are still a critical part of the web, and relevance matters more now than ever, in my opinion. So I think links are still going to be important, but how they influence what we think of as traditional organic search, which may become obsolete, I'm not sure. I don't know where it's going to go. But that's why I think it's important for us to focus really on our clients' branding right now more than anything. Having a consistent brand voice, and helping clients to become ubiquitous. In other words, publish a lot of content that's always creating an association between their business and their products and services and the locations in which they provide them, and being consistent and regular in publishing content across a wide area, like a wide set of channels, like media, multimedia, essentially. And that's where I think the biggest opportunity is. And I'm going to be talking all about that tomorrow, the Semantic Mastery Mastermind webinar, because I built an app over the last week. I'm trying to build an interface for it now. But I'm going to be sharing what I built that's critically important. I mean, I think it's very, very valuable. I'm going to be sharing that tomorrow in the mastermind. I'm going to turn it into a done-for-you service for my tree service contractors, but it's something I'm going to encourage our mastermind members to consider doing in their agencies too. So I think highly lucrative, and this is something that's not going to require personnel. I've automated about 90% of it already. So anyway, I'm going to share that tomorrow. So great question, guys. Last thing, guys, is Rant's still trying to nail down the niche. Mastermind access to everything, right? All trainings. Yes. Costco, everything. We don't hold anything back. You get access to everything in the mastermind. All right. Okay, guys. Thanks everybody for being here. We're going to wrap up for the day.
Sounds good.
Sweet. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you, man.